because we're just started. In this sweep now, we should start catching that thing.
Right.
So we're actually going that way to see if we can find a ditch going along there.
Right, okay, yeah.
What we're trying to do is we really find a ditch and maybe a gate as well. So we're just kind of wondering whether or not that is running at sort of that angle, or whether in fact it turns up somewhere else. We'll find out as well.
Right.
What else might we find in here that would be...
I'm hoping we're going to find some more pottery. Paul's found some already. We can use dating processes on that, radiocarbon dating and other processes to get an age for it. But just the look of it gives us an indication of whether it's prehistoric or Roman.
Yeah. What would be really nice, of course, would be if some of the things we find in these trenches actually cut through each other. Because we're talking about Iron Age and Romano-British, but actually it would be nice if we had both. And maybe there's a change in the way that people use the landscape, or maybe there's continuity.
Oh, well, I'm really hopeful that our next trench will have exactly that. We've got a ring ditch, and then we've got some other sort of linear, probably ditches, that seem to cut across it or possibly are connected to it.
Yeah.
And it'll be the relationship between those features that'll be really, really interesting in that trench. So if we have an interesting feature showing up in one of these trenches that we've opened, would it be better to extend that slightly rather than looking at an entirely separate ring ditch?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think that would satisfy me. It would satisfy the inquiry that we've got and the reasons that we're doing what we're doing. So I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and this one particularly reminds me of the ring ditch at North Duffield, which had a huge doorway on one side, very much like
6
what we
metres
did out
across.
here.
Yeah, and it had us thinking, we kept thinking, oh, it's too big for a doorway, because we were using our modern heads, thinking about how things should be in a modern kind of practical way. But there's all sorts of different things at play, aren't there, in the past that we don't always understand. So.
Well, it seems to be that most roundhouses fall into a certain size range, maybe 9 to 15 metres, something like that. I don't know, I can't off the top of my head, but we're finding bigger ones than that.
Yeah.
And that begs the question, is this a communal place? Is it somewhere where people come to transact business, to get a wife, to meet up and discuss things? Or is it an industrial site where they're actually creating things? Or is it just a very large roundhouse? And we haven't answered those questions yet.
Well, here's another question then. If this is really similar to North Duffield, at North Duffield we had another doorway on pretty much the opposite side. So would it be worth putting in a little trench over that same position, since the geophysics suggests that there is a doorway there on this roundhouse?
That would make a lot of sense, really.
So what we're doing then, Michael, is we're not, so what we don't want to do is trowel this sandy bit here.
No, yeah.
What we're doing is just troweling the brown bit.
Brown bit?
The brown stuff. So what you're doing at the moment is great. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of troweling it down the sides.
Yeah.
Can you see how the ditch is going down? The sandy stuff is there.
Oh, it's going down now.
And we've still got the brown stuff in the middle of the hole.
Yeah.
So it's still got further to go down yet.
So if that's just outside.
So you're sitting just outside, and Michael and I are kneeling just outside the roundhouse. Sean, you're outside the roundhouse.
Yeah.
Because the annoying thing on sites like this is that out in the field, all that ploughing I was talking about has just knocked off the floor. So the floor of the roundhouse might have been up there somewhere originally, and it's all been ploughed away.
Yeah.
And all we can find is the bit, if you like, the hole where the wall went. So there's something interesting there. A bit of a dig around it, see if it comes out. Oh, that's another one of our pebbles, isn't it? Do you want to have a pass it round? Look. But it's interesting. Sometimes you find these really red pebbles where they've been heated up and then.
We think this has probably been fire cracked. It's been in the fire used to warm water up.
So it is red, isn't it?
And if it's red, then that suggests it might have been heated up then.
Well, it's probably been rolled around in the glacier, and it's all worn down.
Yeah.
And then they've used it and put it into the fire as they're called pot boilers. Well, I've tried this. I've experimented with this in my back garden.
Oh yeah.
And the pottery that they were creating wasn't very strong and couldn't withstand the naked flame of a fire. So they couldn't boil water like we can now. So what they did was they put these stones into the fire and got them red hot. They got a pair of, made some tongs out of some sticks and dropped them in the water. And the water will boil in seconds. No electricity, no fire, they'll boil in seconds.
Wow.